to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's the last 7 o'clock meeting.
If they vote on it.
If they vote.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and a special welcome to the students from the high school. You learn a lot. We have no agenda changes tonight, council, but I do need approval of the minutes from the February 24th regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from last?
I vote to approve the minutes.
Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that the minutes from the last meeting be approved. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose nay. And the ayes have it. Thank you, council. All right, we need to excuse Sheila from the last meeting, please.
I move that we excuse Sheila McDougall from the last meeting.
Second?
Been moved and seconded that Sheila be approved for missing the last meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose nay. And the ayes have it. Thank you. All right, we don't have anyone signed up for public comment, so we'll move on. Council, is anyone interested in the cruise boat schedule? I got a copy from the port. If anybody wants to look at it sometime, I have it. It looks pretty full. I think it's bigger than last year's, so that's good. All right, anything from staff or employees? Okay. You're ready for committee reports and finance admin, the audit report on the current bills, please.
The total expenditures for the March 10th period of $497,732.17.
I'll entertain a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion, we pay the bills.
Second?
Moved and seconded that the bills be paid. Any questions, council? Not, let's vote. All those in favor of paying the bills signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose nay. And the ayes have it. Thank you. Public safety, public works, and any outside organizations. Minutes are included in your packet. And under unfinished business, I'm going to ask our attorney to speak to that a little bit because this is the second reading. So I would like her to review that a little bit for you. And maybe for the audience members, just because if you didn't have a chance to read the whole thing.
I've been instructed to eat the mic, so I'm gonna try to do a little better about speaking loud enough for people to hear me. Right. So this, one of the things that I think was not clear to some people when we were talking about this was what the kind of what the reasoning was behind making a move in this direction. And the big reason I think that it makes a good amount of sense for the city is that the legislation right now is trying to reduce the amount of feet from those pot shops and certain sensitive areas like schools and daycares and things like that. So right now it's set at 1,000 feet. There's push in the legislation to move that down to 500 feet.
We are allowed to be more strict than state regulation.
No, not on the distance.
As I understand it, the distance isn't it 500 from the state right now, but we have ours at 1,000.
No, right now it is at 1,000 from the state. They are trying to push it down to 500.
To 500.
Yep.
And we can't have more strict, so we can't have more strict regulations in this instance than the state.
Our ability to be more strict would go the other direction. We would be more strict on this.
On leniency?
I know it sounds funny, but it's, our ability to change the distance would be, we wouldn't be able to make it, farther apart. Once the state legislation moves it down to 500 feet, we wouldn't be able to then, insist on that 1,000-foot radius. We would have to go to 500. We could move it down further, if that makes sense. We could make it so that we have less distance between our sensitive areas and those pot shops, but we couldn't push that boundary out further.
That sounds so stupid.
It doesn't sound like it makes intuitive sense. I think that there's some logic that the state legislation is considering that I don't necessarily understand. And it kind of cuts against the point, I think, of making those places safer.
Are they smoking pot?
I can't speak to that.
Might be asleep.
I can't speak to that. But what I can say is right now, when we did our studies for the city of Clarkston and kind of mapped out the whole community and where these shops could go that would stay away from those areas, it was a pretty thorough study from what I've seen. And so it gave a handful of places where these shops could go, and the existing shops, they put their shops in. If the legislation goes through and new shops are able to open at that closer distance, the old ones that already exist, they would not be able to move closer. It would only be the new ones. And so they kind of get put at a little bit of a disadvantage in favor of the newer pot shops. The newer pot shops would have the more favorable, if that's.
Has crime around the pot shops that we currently have bad?
I don't believe that we have an increased amount of crime, but I'll let the chief speak to that part.
Just from a public safety standpoint, the location where they're at has worked really well. They're all very close. In fact, they can see each other. They all work very well together. And what I really like is that it's so close to the police department. They're all right there. If they need help, we're there immediately. They have very good security. If we were to have shops open further away, it would be more difficult to respond to what we're doing right now. Probably wouldn't be quite as safe as the situation we have where they're all together, working together in close proximity to the police station.
But we can say that about almost any business anywhere.
Well, these are the only businesses that have to comply with these sensitive zones, so we don't have any other businesses that do that. There are some risks with these shops, and they've done a good job of mitigating those, but the risks are still present. You put them further away, those risks are increased.
Are there any other questions that I can answer on that one?
I just had a question about, this is pending in the current legislative session in Washington State to
Yes.
go, I mean, they're in session, so we expect a vote on this or to move to the next committee or.
I think that they had passed the second, you might remember, they had passed the second reading and we're moving on to a committee. And so it has passed through the first couple of obstacles. There were a couple of changes that were made, substitution made, and so it has kind of made its way through a couple of different steps at this point.
So we want to get our vote in before there's a final decision, with having a vote on the second, on the second reading will be ahead of that. And so I think it behooves us to do that. I think what, is gonna, what's going to result as the vote now will be is that everything stays the same. No more pot shops will be allowed in our city limits, and I think, how the system is working now within the city limits is good. So I'm not anticipating any problems if we pass this.
I can also say that if we were to pass this, And I won't advocate one way or the other as to what the council should do, I just wanna make sure that you have the information so you can make the decision that you think is best. But if we were to pass it now and limit it to that 3, it keeps newer pot shops from being able to come inside that 500-foot radius now, or that 1,000, below the 1,000 into the 500-foot radius. It keeps them from being able to do that. It doesn't prohibit this council or future councils from them, expanding again and opening it up to a 4th one in the future if that made sense. But it does give us kind of a starting point so that we can stop it from getting those shops from getting opened in the areas that we did not want them to be opened in. And I think that's kind of the push on getting it done now. Now, if the future councils or even yourselves wanted to do further studies or read into it more and expand at some point in the future, we would certainly be able to do that. But once one comes in, you can't kind of go backwards on it. So
We maintain the status quo.
that's essentially the point, yeah.
It's kind of an advantage for the pot shops too.
I imagine they won't mind.
Right.
So it leaves it in our control
Yes,
rather than in the state's control.
correct.
Okay? Any other questions, council? Huh? Thank you. So, under unfinished business, we have ordinance number 1727. Second reading.
An ordinance establishing regulations for the licensing and operation of cannabis retail stores within city limits.
I'll entertain a motion to pass this bill, or pass this ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that ordinance number 1727 be approved. Any further comments, council?
No, we talked earlier about me recusing myself from this vote.
Okay. We're ready to vote then. All those in favor of ordinance number 1727 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, nay.
Nay.
I don't know, that's what I wonder.
Okay, and it passes. All right, next we have the consent agenda, special event permit.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Second. Moved and seconded that the consent agenda be approved. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, nay. And the ayes have it, thank you. Under new business, we have ordinance number 1728, the first reading.
Ordinance number 1728, an ordinance repealing sewer and swimming pool sections of Clarkston Municipal Code Chapter 3, which established revenue and finance for the city of Clarkston.
Need I'll entertain a motion to, first reading, okay. And ordinance number 1729, first reading.
Ordinance 1729, an ordinance of the city of Clarkston, Washington, amending Clarkston Municipal Code 2.08 to update the time of regular meetings of the Clarkston City Council.
Thank you. Okay, that finishes the agenda pretty well, except for council comments. Any council comments? Okay,
Well, I went to the YWCA soup-a-thon, or soup fundraiser, and both of our chiefs and their teams were well represented. So thank you for participating in that. I know you've done it for many years, and we actually had a soup champion, right?
Yes, yeah. Clarkston Police.
Wins again. But I would say a really close second to the fire department, because that chili brisket was phenomenal. So,
they have one in the past.
I was gonna say, I thought that was the fire department's.
their signature.
Yeah.
Anyway, great job.
Any questions from the press?
No. Oh, I do have one. This is a hard one. How many years do you think you've had city council at 7 PM?
Joel can answer that.
37 that I know of. And I think I've attended about 800.
I know,
And my first meeting in retirement will be 5:30.
I know.
So I won't get to take advantage of that. I'm opposed to it, by the way.
We're gonna give him a great send-off. He doesn't know what we have planned. We wanna make it a surprise. All right, we have no executive session, so there being no further business to come before the council, we are adjourned.